Oh, good afternoon, sir. How are we?
Hello, mate. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good. I see you're out in your garden.
Yeah, I thought I'd enjoy the sunshine while it lasts.
I would, but my kids are in a paddling pool, so you wouldn't hear me.
Oh, okay. How old are your kids?
Dexter just turned 8, and Sonny's 4.
Oh, okay. That's a fun age.
Oh, God, isn't it? Testing age.
Yeah, I think it's different tests, isn't it, as they get older.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We've got. I've got 2 stepsons, Harrison and Toby. Harrison's 17, Toby's 13, and I have my own daughter Florence. She's 15 now, so all kind of teenagers and all bringing about their own joys and challenges. So it's all good fun.
You don't look old enough, mate.
Ah, thanks.
I wish I could say the same. I think I'm getting grayer and grayer by the minute.
How old are you?
I'll be 40 in August.
Oh wow, you're August as well. I'm 44 in August, so yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
August 22nd.
Oh, what am I? 19th.
Oh wow, that's 3 days apart. That's
yeah.
Interesting. So we're both Leo the lion.
Yes, that's right. Joint online birthday celebrations.
Yay! There we go. So how's things, mate? This is I think you've done loads of live streams, haven't you? You've been really prolific.
Yeah, well, the reason I did them was plain and simply because I think, you know, like yourself, promoting the hobby and all that kind of stuff. We're all sort of stuck in the house. Everyone's sort of either the kids are driving them crazy, or they're working on their fish tanks, or whatever, gearing up for contests, which I was, and then I had a disaster, but that's a different story. And so I thought, well, there's people out there that are going to want to hear what these people want to say. So me being me, ballsy and cheeky, I just messaged them and said, you know, do you want to go live with me? You know, some people are like, oh, no, I'm not very good on camera. It's like, well, neither have I. I got a face for radio, but I'll do it. I don't care. So
I think the only way you get good at something is by doing it more often. So
well, yeah, that's it.
It's good to step out your comfort zone and develop these skills. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, that's it. So I was so happy to get Adam when Adam said, yeah, I'll do one. That's like, we did 2 or 3, I think.
Yeah,
and
he's a great guy.
Some of the stories he told me, it was just mind blowing. You know,
is he been your favourite? Are you allowed to say your favourite is?
Yeah, I can say my favourite. I mean, I don't care. Controversy or not, I don't care. Yeah, Adam's probably been my favourite so far. But then we haven't finished ours yet, so...
What's been your kind of main takeaways from these live streams? What do you think the best value that you kind of learned from, or other people have learned from these live streams?
Well, all sorts, really. All sorts, from some of Adam's revelations, like the fact that aquascaping as we know it today may not have even happened had the weather been different. You know, something. It's like, wow, how we're all in this awesome hobby for one reason or another. I was talking to Nick the other day on Instagram from Fox Aquariums, and he's ex-serviceman as well.
Okay.
And it's surprising how many sort of ex-servicemen are in the hobby, but understandably so, you know? I totally get why.
That is interesting. Yeah, I mean, the contrast is, from my own personal point of view, is pretty stark. You know, when I think about what I was doing in Afghanistan, you know, bomb disposal and getting, you know, I got hit by a roadside IED and
Did you?
Involved in firefights, and I've got some crazy war stories. But yeah, that was, you know, get experience and that sort of thing. It does put your life in a bit of a, you kind of just analyse where you want to go with it, and kind of, I just thought, this isn't for me. This isn't what I was put on this planet for. You know, I respect the kind of military and the sort of national security aspect of everything, but I didn't feel that was my kind of place, and it wasn't where I was. I wasn't where I was strongest, and it wasn't where my talents were, I would say. I did quite well. You know, I was a sergeant, a senior NCO, you know, in charge of a few guys, and I considered myself quite a good leader, quite a strong leader, and did all the right things. But it wasn't what my passion was, you know. And I was kind of fortunate enough to have the side hustle of aquascaping. You know, I was writing for PFK, and I was doing a few, you know, the occasional kind of public talks and demos, etc. And then when the it's pretty much simultaneously as when I got hit by this IED, and my wife wanted a divorce, my ex-wife. So that was a really sort of dark time, and I thought, well, this, rather than just getting kind of caught up in the sadness and the darkness of it all, let's use it as an opportunity to evolve my own career into something I'm really passionate about. So that's when aquascaping really sort of became a more of a career, more of a focus of where I wanted to take my life. And now I'm, you know, it's been the struggle. It's been, you know, there's been lots of challenges along the way. But with sheer hard work and determination and just constantly practicing what I'm doing and getting myself out there, you know, probably on a similar journey to yourself right now, you know, just keeping at it. Eventually you get a few kind of lucky breaks, you get to build your network, and then you can develop, you know, a career. And that's kind of where I am now. So yeah, it's all good. And I'm kind of grateful for those times, you know, experiencing that kind of hardship and those challenges has taught me a lot. And, you know, you take those lessons forwards and use them. And yeah, I think I'm a better person for it all, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. Because the people watching now, they probably don't realize, but me and you, we regularly exchange via phone, texts, messages and stuff. It's probably, I was thinking about it the other day, it's probably about best part of 2 years now since I first kind of set up my business. It's probably what, two and a half years ago, I think it was.
Okay.
And me just being me, because my dad said to me the other day, he said, "How's it going with all the live streams, mate?" And I said, "Oh, it's good." He said, "How'd you get hold of these people?" I said, "Well, I just message people and try and reach out to and speak to people." Yeah. He's like, "Oh, right." And people think, they seem to be sort of scared by that. I don't know whether it's a fanboy mentality or something like that. It's like, "Oh, I can't approach these guys. You know, he's got 1 million views on YouTube and stuff like that." It's like, well, they're just a normal person. You know, we're just
all humans. We just happen to have. I think it is interesting. I think the more, you know, I was asked the question on a previous live stream with Peter Roscoe, you know, Amateur Aquatics.
Yeah, I think I was tuned into that. I was in the kitchen.
And he said, I think he was posed a question by another. We've become quite good friends. Great Northern Scaper, Spencer Bray. Yeah. Who asked the question, you know, what does it feel like to influence so many people? Yeah, and it's a tricky question, because you don't want to be put in this kind of pedestal where you're seen as someone that's an influencer, because there's this kind of negative connotation to influencers. And I kind of compared it to, you know, a celebrity who's known for being an actor or a model or something, but then they're kind of, because of their kind of influence, then they get paid big money to just talk about random products. And that's not the kind of thing that I'm into. You know, I work closely with brands, but they're only brands that I believe in and that I've used myself. You know, even, you know, in case with the kind of Oase, it was, I actually bought the filter to start with, and it was because I, you know, love the product so much, I approached them. And and I guess what I'm saying is that you, going back to the original point, you know, we're all approachable. It's just a case of you get approached by so many people now.
Yeah, of course, you can't answer everyone.
And you have to kind of be careful of where you spend your energy and your time in order to execute that primary mission, which in my case is promoting aquascaping and making it more accessible to a wider range of people. And so, you know, I'll get X amount of messages a day on Facebook, Instagram, or whatever. And you really have to, unfortunately, you have to filter out a lot of them, because you just don't have the time. So you have to focus your energy on what is going to give the most value to the biggest range of people. And that is,
I think that's my downfall, I suppose, because I tend to want to help everyone. So if someone messages me, I depending on what the question is, if it's a silly question, like, just Google it, man, you know.
Yeah.
Because people are inherently lazy, but that's just human nature. You know, it's like, if you can get an easy answer, you know, why would you spend time researching when you know you could just ask somebody like yourself who's got the experience, been there, done it, and get an answer, a definitive answer, than spend time Googling and researching? Because you know yourself, there's so much crap on the internet.
Absolutely.
You know, but there's also a lot of good as well. But for somebody sort of approaching the hobby at the beginning, say, it's hard for them to decipher what's real and, you know, what's good advice and what's crap advice.
That's an excellent point, because they're, with the age of the internet, Facebook groups, well, forums aren't so popular now, but you know, there's so much information out there. As a beginner, I do really kind of feel for them, because you're literally bombarded with a lot of information. Not all of that information is necessarily the best, but even more confusing is there's a lot of conflicting information, and actually the conflicts aren't actually, doesn't necessarily mean one of those conflicts is wrong and the other one is right. It means there's just different ways to achieve the same goal. So I think it's really important to, you know, for a beginner to outline, for them to follow kind of one set of advice rather than mixing and matching. So that's my kind of top advice to a newcomer, is to stick with like a mentor, you know, whether that's actually a live one-to-one dialogue with a mentor, or just by following that mentor on their various feeds, etc. And just sticking with that kind of methodology, because once you start mixing and matching methodologies to suit your own circumstances, and like you say, people take the path of least resistance. So someone might have an aquarium and they want to do it on the cheap because their budget is limited, which is absolutely fair enough, and we all started out that way. So they might use garden soil, for instance, which is a proven method. Some people succeed with that, but then they might look at garden soil and they use that, but then they might mix that up with using, you know, super high lighting and, you know, other kind of methods that don't necessarily kind of match up with the garden soil. It's just a short example, but
well, I've used the Wildstad method myself in a client's tank, and I've had varying experiences with it. Like, in the short term, it works really well and it grows the plants really well. But generally, with the standard lighting that comes with, say, a dual tank or a fluval tank, for example, I just don't. They're not suitable to grow all the types of plants. And of course, because you've got such a nutrient-rich substrate to start with the lighting that you've got, the plants are always going to struggle, and then algae is going to win, as you know. And then the customer's going to get annoyed, and they're like, well, why is all this algae appearing? And then, like, one of the most frustrating things for myself is when the customer says, right, I want you to set up an aquarium for me. So you go there, you scape it, you spend a lot of time and effort, because obviously what a lot of people don't see is, like, in your live streams, and then, say, for argument's sake, if I did a time lapse of an aquascape, people go, oh yeah, that's very good, you know, you've put rocks here and you've put soil there and you've planted it and everything. But what they don't see is all the pre-planning beforehand, and all the consultation that you have with the client to make sure it's what they want. I know when I spoke to Yuri's before, that he said about, basically he has a style, and if they approach him because of his style, and he doesn't really differ from his style, if that makes sense. They kind of get what he's about. It's kind of like you go to a tattooist, like, you know, if you go to a tattooist that specializes in black and gray, you go to him because he's really good at that. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, with myself, I've got to try and accommodate that client as best as I can. Obviously, all while trying to advise them on the best practice and to look after the tank, especially if they say to me, right, well, I've got no artistic flair whatsoever. Can you make the tank look lovely for me, and I'll maintain it? So then when you give them those steps to maintain it, and then 4 months down the line, they ring you up and say, my tank's full of algae, you know, you must have done something wrong. And then you've got to go back then and try and find out what's happened, try and find out what their regime has been, what they've done, how they've taken care of it, all the rest of it. And then you've then got to try and repair that. It's like, it makes things challenging, to say the least.
Yeah, that is interesting. I guess from my experience, you know, I've aquascaped for a few clients now, and I do kind of a follow-up service sort of every week or so, just for the first sort of month, you know, and just I give them a strict schedule, you know, every day, every week, every month, and then as soon as they start seeing any issues, I say, you know, just drop me a quick message, drop me a quick video clip of what the issue is, and then I can talk you through what to do. And then, you know, 99% of the time, they'll execute what I've suggested, and the problem goes away. And then they're set up in the longer term with their own hobby. So it is interesting because there's different types of clients, isn't there? There's like a commercial client where you know, like a dentist or a waiting room or a restaurant, where they're not hobbyists. You know, they just want a beautiful aquarium, and they kind of they're not actually into it for the hobby. They're just in it to have a beautiful thing in their building, in their space. And so they're not actually interested in doing the water changes and the trimming and the fertilizing and stuff like that. That's sometimes required, obviously, on a regular basis. So I actually I do very, very few commercial clients, almost for that reason, because I don't want to be kind of tied to those issues, because I know they'll probably occur, because there will be neglect. So my clients, I tend to focus on fellow hobbyists that not even hobbyists, they're just folk that have almost stumbled across either my channels, or they've seen something that I've done, or they've just Googled aquascaping, and then if they've got the initiative, because I don't actually advertise my services to do private installs. If they've got the initiative to approach me, then we'll strike up a relationship. I'll soon know if they're actually genuinely interested, and they're happy to invest in the time and money to have a beautiful aquarium. And you know, more often than not, it's a huge success story. But I do sympathise with you, you know, especially with the commercial clients that are perhaps on a very limited budget, and they want a super high-end tank, but they're just not willing to invest in it, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's why the majority of my clients, I haven't got a single client that's got injected CO2.
Okay, yeah.
Because
so, yeah, that's going to be, yeah, because they're on a budget, and the maintenance obviously is a lot higher with the CO2
exactly
tank.
That is down to money. They don't want to bother themselves with it. They don't have either the knowledge or the time to bother themselves with it. They employ me to come and do it, whether it's weekly, fortnightly, or monthly. So they don't want to be paying me, you know, every week to come down and trim their plants and, you know, all that kind of stuff, and make sure that they're, you know, all their equipment is clean, and, you know, you're bleaching, you know, your CO2 diffusers and whatnot, and cleaning your pipe work and all that. They don't want none of that. They just want something nice for them and their customers, or them and their patients to look at, you know. Yeah.
So do you do a lot of kind of hardscape only scapes, I guess, for these clients?
I've done a few. Mainly down to the ADG boys. I mean, you've been there, so you know exactly. But that just struck a thing with me. Probably my favourite tank that I did of last year was the 900-litre aquascape, the discus tank with the manzanita wood and the mini landscape rock. That all came from Dave, actually, Aquarium Gardens.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate. I only live about 4 or 5 kilometres from Dave's. Yeah, I actually ran part. I've got a new running route, and I actually ran past his place. Yeah, so yeah, I'm very fortunate to have Dave on my doorstep. Yeah,
wave on the way past.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, that was it.
Have you been there yet to Aquarium Gardens?
I've not been there. No, I've not been there at all. I've not been there. There's a few on my list I need to see in the UK first, and then obviously Green Aqua's on the bucket list. That is, because that's a holiday in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, Budapest is epic. Yeah, it's a lovely city as well. If you could take the family, it's a beautiful kind of architecture. It's quite cheap as well to eat and drink, so it's not an expensive holiday necessarily, unless you start buying stuff from Green Aqua, of course.
Yeah, of course. Well, my wife's just bought a camera now, finally. So she's more interested in snapping pictures of the kids and the dog than anything else at the minute. But
that's good practice. Good to get to learn how to use the camera. Absolutely.
Well, everything's on auto at the minute, because she's trying to figure out all the finer points and like technical thingies on the camera. I'm not all clued up with cameras. I just use my phone all the time because it's easy. It's like my YouTube channel now that I've just started. I edit everything on KineMaster on my phone just because it's easy. I thought, right, my next video I'm going to download some decent software, put it on my laptop, and do it properly.
Yeah.
I took one look at it. I was like, "What? I don't understand none of this nonsense."
So it's overwhelming, isn't it? I mean, I just use iMovie still, which is the software you get free with Apple. So it's fine for what I do. I mean, I do all my client stuff on there. Tropica, Oase, everything's edited on there. It's actually surprisingly powerful, but still quite simple. So.
Yeah, I joked with somebody. My all my videos are ghetto style.
Ghetto style. Yeah, that's a good word. Yeah. Yeah, but as long as it's you know, the actual the technical quality of the videos isn't as important as the message that you're trying to get across and the story you're trying to tell. As long as you're getting good value to the viewer, you know, as long as they're learning stuff and there's like a beginning, a middle, and an end, and there's some, you know, some like form of story, then that's far more important than the technology. The technology there is to support the story, so that the story is the king, and then everything else around that, like the sound quality, the editing, the video quality, that's all there just to support the story. So you can film on anything you like, as long as the story is good, you'll get the views, you'll get the engagement, and that's far more important than anything else. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I see your videos and like Yuri's, because he was using Logan for a while, wasn't he?
It still does, yeah.
Well, I approached Logan myself and said, you know, how does this all work, sort of thing. And then it was like, well, I get paid X amount of money, and I was like, whoa, I can't afford to do that. So it's like, okay, back to the drawing board. I understand because.
Hey, mate.
You lost your Wi-Fi out there, did you?
No, my phone overheated.
Oh, that's sitting in the sun.
Yeah, so sorry about that. I had to stick it in the freezer for 2 minutes.
iPhones for you, see?
Yeah, it's black as well, and it's got a case, so...
Yeah, that would do it.
Yeah, but here I am in the shade now, so sorry to the viewers for losing you guys for a little while.
I'll edit that out later.
No worries, mate. Good idea.
I'll edit that out later. No, that was... I mean, what were we talking about? Yeah, Logan and the editing and stuff. I completely understand, like, now, after doing it myself, having to go myself, why, you know, editors charge so much money. And obviously, with someone like Logan and Yuri's, it's such a big commitment, because Yuri's is trying to pump out like 3 videos a week. And I mean,
he's crushing it, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean,
the Yuri's story is really interesting. I'm sure he won't mind me going into some more detail on it. But I think it was Interzoo 2000 and... What year are we now? 2000... Interzoo 2018, and I don't think Yuri's was still doing. He wasn't doing YouTube regularly, and I said to him, "Look, you need to do YouTube, mate, because you're, you know, talented aquascaper. You've got the skills. He's good at photography. He had some really good videos on there, and he was just really he was just kind of, he had some stumbling blocks, and then anyway he ended up reaching out to the masses and said, you know, I need an editor, because he's really busy doing his other, you know, just general aquascaping work. And then Logan approached him, and Logan's actually a professional. Well, I say professional. He's a really, really talented filmmaker himself. Yeah,
I've seen a couple of things.
Yeah, and he's also he's a highly skilled editor, and he's also interested in aquascaping. So Logan reached out to Yuri's, and then Yuri's and Logan come up with this, you know, this kind of plan of how Logan would be remunerated, and it's kind of developed from there. But it's like the chicken and the egg, isn't it? It's like, I think what I would suggest, what advice I'd give to you, Richie, is just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep pumping out good quality content from your phone. Gradually build up a community and a kind of loyal fan base. And then hopefully you just get to the point where you can start gradually investing in a little bit more technology, you know, better video, better audio, etc. And hopefully, you know, you start creating some more aquascapes at home, perhaps, so you've got more content to film. And then gradually, it'll just be a gradual kind of, you know, elevation. And then you'll get to like almost like a critical mass where everything will hopefully start happening for you, you know, and you'll get more, you'll get approached by more brands, more collaborations, and things like this.
I've just done it, but because it's something I wanted to do for ages, and then obviously lockdown came about, and it was just easier, and I had the time to do it. Like normally with the live streams, I don't generally do the live streams in the day, just because the kids are around, so you can hear them screaming and run around in the background. And often I'm like, stop doing that, leave your brother alone, stop beating him up and all this sort of stuff. Because it's just easy, easier. Sorry, but yeah, like yourself, I'm supposed to be speaking to Samuel Gambarini soon as well. Who else have I got coming up? I spoke to Chris Lukow, but that was a fun one because we've got a lot in common. Because he's an
ex-rock musician. Yeah,
and so am I as well.
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah. That's why you're called Sticks, isn't it? Because you kept dropping your drumsticks.
Because I kept dropping my drumsticks. Yeah, lots of people have asked. Everyone keeps asking me that, and that came about. It was a band practice from one of my old bands, and I was playing along, and it was sort of mid-song, and a stick just flew out my hand and literally like smacked my guitarist. And he was like, I'm going to start calling you Sticks from now on. And lots of people, because I'm into aquascaping and stuff, people have asked me, is it to do with that? Is it because of like wood and stuff like that? Yeah. No, it's nothing to do with that. It's
because you're a bit clumsy.
Totally, yeah. But only when I'm playing. When I used to play live, I used to keep a drumstick under my leg on my seat. So if I did, because I knew I was going to drop it. So if I did, they would just be able to reach down and just grab it and carry on playing. Yeah. And often people didn't even realize that I'd done it. But yeah, that's another life now. That's a long time ago.
So do you do the aquascape? Is this your full-time job now then? The aquarium maintenance, etc.
Almost. Before all lockdown and stuff happened, I had 2 jobs, and the other job was disabled transport. So I'm a fully licensed taxi driver. Oh, wow, okay. Yeah. So I was doing transport for disabled children back and forth school. Mm-hmm. So it was great because the aquarium stuff fell right in the middle of it because I'm back by around sort of 10 in the morning, and then I'm not back out then until sort of 2:30 in the afternoon. So between those times, I was fitting my clients in between, going servicing tanks and whatever, and then after work, then I'd be going out and doing consultations and stuff with people. But yeah, it got to the stage then where I was kind of at a crossroads. It's like, now I'm earning more from doing the aquariums than I was with my other job. Do I kind of push the aquarium side of it and try and make that my full-time job? Yeah. Or do I just stick with it for now? Because before this all happened, I was gaining more and more clients, and I couldn't fit everyone in. I kind of had a little bit of a waiting list as such, because I couldn't fit everyone in because I had such a small window to try and fit everybody in. So I had a chat with my wife and said, I know it's going to be a struggle for a bit. Shall I do it? Shall I take the plunge, sort of thing? And we were kind of toying with the idea, and then all this kicked off. So I'm kind of back to square one again. Just doing commercial clients at the minute, where like Yuri's, they can let me in, and it's just myself in the building.
You can do social distancing.
Yeah, social distancing is easy. Like the last one I did in the dentist, I just put the video up now on my YouTube, the 850 litre budget tank, basically. I've been working on that tank now for about 2 years, since I first set up the business. They were one of my first customers. Yeah, and that tank's 35 years old now.
Wow.
Still on its original silicone.
Oh wow, that's waiting to pop, isn't it?
Certainly is, and it's not level.
Nightmare.
I know. Yeah. I have warned them. They have been warned. Because it's set up for, originally that tank was run on under gravel filters. Now, a lot of people watching this probably wouldn't have even heard of an under gravel filter, or if they have, they don't know what it is.
My first ever tank was a goldfish tank with an under gravel filter. I'm ashamed to say it was overstocked, of course, because I didn't know any better at the time. But
that's your learning curve, isn't it? Yeah. People have said to me, when did you start your fish keeping? And I said, well, I've been keeping fish on and off for over 30 years. And it's like, wow, I sound old.
We are old, mate. Yeah, we're in our 40s. So.
We're in our prime, mate. We're in our prime.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a fine wine.
Yeah. So you've got any, what's your next, you've got any kind of big projects coming up, or what's this, tell us the story with your your home tank, your high tech tank. Is that, you say you had a disaster with that?
Yeah, well, I think I've told this story before, but obviously since then we've kind of come on a little bit more. Basically, it was my first ever high tech setup. Plain and simply because people have gone to me, well, you've never used CO2 before. I'm like, well, I've never had to. What's the point? I've had loads of aquascapes that have done well, without CO2. I've not needed it. And all the clients that I've got, they don't want it either because obviously it's expensive.
Yeah.
So, and obviously more maintenance and, the whole story. So I approached Better Aquarius. For people who don't know who they are, they're a Spanish company that make tanks. Not to be confused with Better from J&K or Better the Fish.
No, it's Better with one T, isn't it?
Yeah. And I struck up a bit of a relationship with their sales guy. I met him at Fish Cove last year when Felipe did a workshop there.
Yeah.
And then they shipped the tank to me, and that was my sole intention. It sat in my garage for probably the best part of 6-8 months before I set it up, because my wife wanted a cabinet that wasn't shiny and white or shiny and black or shiny and grey. She wanted a cabinet that matched the furniture in the rooms. Fair enough.
Yeah, it's a standard thing, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. So hunted for one, found one. Then again. Anyway, so I'm rambling just like you. So I had to strengthen all that to make sure that it was safe enough to take the weight. So then it happened. So I had a ton of red lava stone in my garage. Now, loads of people warned me against it. I was talking to Felipe. He was like, no, don't use it. Don't use red lava stone. Nobody uses it. It's too bright. It's too garish. Everyone's going to go, oh. So I thought, now he's told me not to. I have to do it now. Yeah,
of course.
I've got to try. I just got to try it because I've done all sorts. I mean, when I first got back into aquascaping, obviously I had sort of a couple of the Takashi Amano books, and I saw a few of your videos, and I thought, yeah, I'll have a go with that. So anyway, I started, and then because I was trying to do something totally different, something kind of newish, I suppose you could say, still nature aquarium style, but with a complete difference, because obviously a lot of, like I think you've said before, with Iwagumi type layouts, you can either kind of go with the flow of the stones, or you can like put them opposing to create a bit of drama and escape.
Yeah.
And that was kind of what I was going for. I wanted people to go, whoa, look at that. Look at the contrast between the red and the green. And that was what I wanted, basically, to create a reaction. So anyway, I thought, well, I haven't got much time now. It's only a few months before the contests kick off, because that was the whole reason behind it, was to get it ready to take photographs for the contest. I missed the EA PLC. So I thought, right, kind of, no, I'm not going to say that because it's swearing, but something or bust, should we say, and I'll just have to try and get it ready for IAPLC. It'll either do well or it won't, so we'll just try it, innit? Like Felipe said about his tree, when he did the bonsai tree, he did one of the very first, or the first, I don't know if it's...
He did, yeah. It was the first, and I think he got ranked number 10.
Yeah. And then obviously since then, there's been multiple different variations on the theme. So I thought, well, it's either going to go well or it's not. Just try it, innit? You don't know until you try. So anyway, I had to try and grow plants very quickly. So luckily for me, being an ambassador for Prodibio and for Max Lifeaqua, I had everything there that I needed to try and grow everything. I was approached by CO2 Art and said, would you like one of our regulators? I was like, well, funny enough, I've just got a new system ready to go, and it's going to be a high-tech system. So I put the dual stage Pro, I think it's the Pro SE, I think it is, reg on there with inline diffuser. And I was just banging the CO2 in around about four bubbles per second, roughly, because it's hard to count them. You just kind of gauge it, don't you?
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I'll use a drop checker, plain and simply because it'll give me a visual clue as if, if there's enough CO2 going into the tank. So I was faffing with that for ages to try and get it right.
Yeah.
And then I was just slamming the fertilizer in, and I had the lights probably higher than I should have. And the tanks grew, the plants grew like stink for the first 4 months. They were crazy. I was trimming, like, the rotalas were being trimmed like every single week. I was taking, a couple of inches off those every week. And I thought, oh, this is great. The tank's going amazing. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it just started crashing. I had cyno, I had staghorn algae, I had little bits of BBA creeping in, and I'm thinking, why? I'm doing like between 50 and 70% water changes every week without fail. So I was like, well, back to the drawing board. What do I do? So I kind of did the whole rich fertilizing method to get the plants to grow. They grew like they were supposed to, and then I had a disaster. So I've just yesterday or day before come out of a 5-day blackout. So I thought I had enough. I turned CO2 off, I turned the light off, and I just covered the whole tank in blankets for 5 days. All the cyano's gone, luckily. I still got some staghorn in there, but now I'm treating with liquid carbon, just to try and kill off the staghorn. And now today I've got to mess around with the regulator to try and, because I turned the CO2 back on yesterday with the light in, but I turned it right down because I want to try and increase it gradually rather than slam it all back in and have the lights on crazy
yeah. I think my advice is to keep everything super stable and then just change one thing at a time. And normally the lighting is the key. So dye your CO2 in, dye your ferts in. Hopefully your substrate hasn't crashed or anything. And then just gradually ramp up your lighting.
I use, because the idea was initially to lean dose and follow sort of Felipe's regime of lean dosing. So I put there's about 20 root tabs in my soil.
Okay.
And then obviously the plants weren't growing as quickly as I wanted them to. So that's why I thought, right, let's bang the light up, turn the CO2 up a bit, and then put some more ferts in. And they did exactly what I wanted them to. But I don't know what changed, whether my CO2 fluctuated or what happened. I don't know. But it was cyno was the first thing I noticed. Other than that, everything was fine. And my bucephalandras were pretty much algae free, which I thought, well, they're usually the first plants to suffer with algae is the buces and the anubiases and stuff. So I thought, oh, okay, let's bang some more plants in. So I tried that. Perhaps they weren't fast enough. I stuck some more balansai in, crep balansai. I'll give you a quick look at the tank, actually. The kids are being pretty quiet, but I don't think the light's on yet. The light doesn't come on until 2 o'clock. It's on a timer.
Can you override the timer so the viewers can see it better?
I can, but I have to go in. It's on an app, so I'd have to kind of go out of it.
Don't worry about that then. Yeah.
So I'll give you a quick look at it. You can kind of make it out. It's hard because the light's off, but yeah.
So okay. So there's some nice growth there. It's not a complete disaster then.
No, it's not. I mean, I added the Javas, Microsorum. For people who are watching, the pinnator feeder's got bonkers, but that's where. Can you see the staghorn on the back? Just at the back there, can you see it?
Yeah.
And there's some on the balansai there.
Staghorn's one of those that it's actually quite. It's not actually once you've got rid of it, it shouldn't come back as long as you keep on top of your waste organic management. So, what filtration are you running on it?
I've got a Hydor Professional 450 on it because that's the biggest filter I could fit in the cabinet.
Mm-hmm. And
I was going to run it.
How often are you cleaning that out?
I was doing it. I was doing it every month, every 4 weeks.
Okay.
But I haven't done it for a while, plain and simply because when I cleaned it out, there's nothing in it because it's really low. It's really lowly stocked. I've got about 10 red tail rasboras. There's about 8 ottos, There's a few nerites and some shrimp, and that's it. That's all that's in there at the minute.
That's interesting.
It's really lowly stocked. And like I say, every time I do a water change, I do between 50 and sort of 70%-ish, there or thereabout. And I gravel vac every time. Or say gravel vac, you can't really gravel vac much in there, so you need sort of first 2 inches. But yeah, I was gravel vacking, and it's a bit of a mess at the minute because some of the soil has fallen forward from where I've been siphoning out the cyno. I've got to add some more sand and stuff to that.
But it sounds like it might be going the right way for you. Hopefully you can get it ready for one of the next year's contests, maybe. Or
yeah,
the AGA comes up next, I think.
Yeah, I've fallen short of the IOPLC, I think. Yeah. I mean, the only way I could possibly enter it now would be to send one of the earlier pictures in, but the tank won't be anywhere near mature enough.
No. I'm trying to get mine ready, my 1200 ready. It's because the deadline's in 10 days or so, isn't it? Less than that now.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 twin stars on it, a 1200 running a lengthways and then a 600 running down the centre.
Yeah, I saw that.
To get the super red stem growth, they're just starting to kick in properly now. So hopefully they'll just be perfectly timed for the day before when I do a photo shoot. The
Rotala green in my tank seemed to just take over everything because, believe it or not, in that tank there's Rotala green, Rotala HRR, Rotala orange juice. It's all in there somewhere. I just don't know where it is. So it's there at the back somewhere. So, but I added more balancite to try and get that sort of overhanging look from the side, because the side looked pretty bare, and that left-hand side where the intake is, you can't really see it from that side anyway. So I thought, well, I'll use that as like an extra background, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What's your circulation like? Because when what you said about your filters not actually getting dirty, for me that indicates actually it's not taking in much waste at all. I know you said you've got a low biomass, but in my experience, even with zero fish, I mean, I've ran aquascapes with zero fish at all, and the filters still get a load of crap in them because the plants produce organic waste as well. Yeah. So to me, that it might indicate you've got some sort of circulation issue.
Yeah, well, that is one of the biggest clues for cyanobacteria. So
exactly that, and natural light hitting the substrate line on the glass.
Yeah, so
all cyanobacteria starts in the substrate. That's where it originates from. Yeah, and it's a photosynthetic bacteria. It's not actually an algae.
No, it's one of the old life forms on the planet, I think.
Exactly. So if you get too much light hitting the glass where the substrate is, that can trigger it. And then what can exacerbate the problem is low nitrate as well. So I knew my nitrates were low because my Monte Carlo was melting every time I put it in. I've removed it now because it was just annoying me. Yeah. And I removed all the moss as well because that was just annoying me as well. Every time I trimmed it, it was getting everywhere. It looks lovely, but it's such a faff to maintain. But obviously, when I've got with the family and stuff, because I only do my water changes and my maintenance in the night when the kids are in bed. Like tonight is maintenance night now, Thursday. When the kids go to bed, I'll be downstairs and I'll get all my kit out and do all the glass cleaning and. Yeah, it is a challenge to run a high energy tank when you've got other commitments. Absolutely, I'm quite lucky that Harrison, my eldest, have trained him on how to maintain my tank, so I can like work on other projects while he's.
You've got a built-in maintenance guy.
Exactly. He charges £10 an hour though, so I am paying for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but he is good. He actually works at Aquarium Gardens as well, so he's become.
Oh, that's good. He does.
Yeah, he's getting some really good experience. So.
Yeah, the other thing I find with my tank is I've got to put glass covers on the top because of the kids.
Oh, okay.
I think that's hindering a little bit because of obviously gas exchange and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're getting good circulation, good surface movement, it should be okay.
Yeah, well, I've got the filter running all the time. I've got the Eheim 350 skim running all the time. And I've just put a 500 litre per hour power head in there just so that the flow does a circular motion.
Like a gyro.
Yeah, that's what I aim for any tank that I set up anyway, just because it's beneficial for tank health and fish health and stuff in general. But when I noticed the cyno, I had to increase flow somehow, so I out to my shed and dig out a power head. But if it's one of those things, even experienced people who have kept aquascapes and tanks and kept fish and whatever your poison is. There's always something to learn, and you always face new challenges. You know, that's the one thing I found. You know, and people, my missus said to me, "Well, you've got all this CO2 stuff. Why have you got algae?" It's like, well, you get algae. Everyone gets algae. It's just one of those things. You've just got to sort of retrace in your mind, well, what could have triggered that? What could have caused it? And then kind of, like with me, with the stag on, it just got to the stage where I started using liquid carbon. Now, in general, I don't use it. I don't recommend it. I don't use it. I only ever use it for spot dosing or in situations like this. But, you know, it's just one of those things. I tried something new. It worked for a while, and then it didn't work. So now I've got to go back to square one. And so...
Well, hopefully you'll overcome the challenges and get a beautiful scape, and then you can tell everyone how you did it. And I think that'll be a great learning point for many people, because
I think so.
Everyone goes through these challenges. Should we use the? I'm aware of time, mate. We've got 10 minutes or so left. Should we open the stream up to a bit of Q&A? Might be nice.
Yeah, let's do it. Why not? I think, let me just double check on the comments if there has been any things. Would root tubs work as a replacement for active soil in a 34-litre aquarium, some crypts and maybe a copper plant? Totally depends. I mean, I don't know if you want to answer that, but I would say it depends on what plants you want to grow.
I didn't hear the question, mate. Sorry.
Sorry, Scout Vinder says, would root tabs work as a replacement for active soil in a 34-litre aquarium, some crypts and maybe a carpet implant?
Yeah, I mean, the more nutrients you add to the substrate, the better. Because they're not going to be leaching into the water column, so you're not going to have any issue there. Any plants with any roots will be able to use it. So, yeah, absolutely use root capsules if you've got them available. Yeah,
I've got them in mind. I mean, I know with Yuri's, his technique is to break them open, isn't it, and sprinkle them on the bottom.
Yeah.
I think James Finley used to do that from the green machine as well, didn't he?
Yeah, it's a popular technique. It's basically just adding extra nutrients. Yeah. When you have them in a capsule, that nutrient concentration's like, you know, really, really tight in that, obviously, that capsule area. Whereas you're just kind of distributing the nutrients more evenly across the footprint. This is a good question from Fish Talk. What's the best aquascape you've ever done and why? Do you go first, mate, and then I'll talk about mine.
Oh, okay. Well, I'd probably guess what yours is. Possibly. I don't know. But I'll wait and see what your answer is. Well, mine... Oh, God. What's my favourite? That's hard because I've done loads, and it depends on when you say an aquascape. Is that involving plants as well, or a hardscape only tank? Because my favourite...
An aquascape is any underwater form of art, so plants or no plants.
My favourite would be the 900-litre discus hardscape only tank that I did last year. That's my favourite. And I'd like to say my current one in my house, but it's not my favourite at the moment. It's annoying me.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll go. So I think the question's interesting, best aquascape. So how do we define what best is?
How do you define what best is, yeah? I mean, favourite, I suppose.
In terms of best for me, in terms of ranking in any contest, I did a new Agumi years ago called Project Scree, which was a lot of open white sand, or just off white sand, with Eleocharis sicularis hairgrass in the background, and then a really nice Sirius stone composition. I think that ranked number 11 in a Russian version of the IOPLC, and it did quite well in the IOPLC as well, and the AGA. I've won a couple of contests, biotope aquascaping contests back in the day for the AGA, so they could be regarded. One of my favourites actually was a stickleback aquascape, which I actually did the research for by diving in a local lake and actually grabbing some hardscape from there. Didn't
you video that? I think I saw that.
Yeah, I pulled out this massive bit of wood.
That's right.
I was actually with Jeremy Gay at the time. He's ex-PFK editor.
So I speak to Jeremy on the phone now and again.
Yeah, he's a good guy. And yeah, so that was good. My favourite, which is different to best, I think, is my old my mother Microsaurum, which is this huge Java fern, glosso carpet, Sagittaria carpet. And that was the game changer for me because I learned how to use CO2. I learned how to maintain the tank. I learned trimming technique. I learned composition. And it was the aquascape that got me noticed by PFK, in fact, back in the day, and then that kind of started the ball rolling to start aquascaping as a side hustle, and then obviously now it's a full-time thing for me. So that's my favourite, but my best, probably that Iwagumi. Yeah, it was quite, I wouldn't say groundbreaking, but it was quite refreshing. There wasn't many Iwagumis done like that before. It's just using one species of plant. I actually used cardinal tetras to start with, and I swapped them over to neon tetras. But yeah, that was. I try and put that on my Instagram. Actually, it's not been. I don't think I've made that public for years. So yeah, it'd be nice to get that one back up there.
Yeah, get that one out. What else have we got quickly? Fish Cove. I don't know whether that's Duncan or his better half, but he says
Amy.
Yeah, Amy, that's the one. I always forget Amy's name. Best rock to skate with, or would that be favourite rock to skate with?
Yeah, best and favourite, very different things.
Yeah.
I really like Frodo Stone from Adam. I'm very lucky that Adam sends me over some of his choice pieces. So.
I've never used it. I'd like to.
It's really heavy. It's really expensive. It's about double the price of Siriu or Mini Landscape.
Yeah, I looked into shipping some over, along with some of Tom Barr's wood as well. But yeah, it's just I couldn't afford to do that.
Yeah. Geordie Scaper, shout out to Mark Goodwin, good guy, a fellow YouTuber.
He got one of my t-shirts, so yes.
Favourite tetra? It's got to be a neon tetra for me, because that was the first tropical fish I ever saw, and I remember it to this day. I think I was 4 or 5 years old. I think it was my first day at school, and they had an aquarium in the reception, and there was neon tetras in there, and it blew my mind. And that was my first memory of a tropical aquarium, and it kind of, I still have this affection for neon tetras because of that, I guess.
Keeping it old school.
Yeah, man. How about you? What's your favourite? You got a favourite tetra?
Mine? Probably Cardinal.
Yeah, classic.
Yeah, definitely Cardinal. Although I bred black neon, so
black neons are beautiful, really underrated, I find.
It's a hard choice.
For me, it's about choosing fish is more these days. It's less about the aesthetic value, but more about behaviour. I'm really interested in behaviour these days. Yeah. I've got my favourite fish at the moment, Asian rummy nose. Yeah, there's male and female. The female look relatively boring, but you need the females for the males to kind of, start sparring with each other, and that is just fascinating. And the red of their noses and their tails just go super, super intense. So cool to watch. Yeah. And I've got pistogrammas as well in my 1200, which are breeding.
Yes, I know you were very happy when you got your first babies. I remember seeing the video.
Yeah,
I bred them as well. I bred the accidentally. What was mine? I forget the name of them now. Something gold. I can't remember now. But yeah, I tell you what, the rasboras I've got in my tank now, the red tails. I forget their Latin name because I'm crap with Latin names. I should
Boraptorensis, I think.
Something like that. Yeah. I used to be good when I was in college studying horticulture. I used to be pretty good with Latin names, but I'm crap now. Yeah. But yeah, red tail rasboras. I saw them in one of my local fish stores. I was just looking for something different for my. Originally on the hunt for bentosies, like Mark was saying about. But
I've got them in my my style line 85. Actually, I've not made it public yet. Yeah,
they were proving elusive for me to find them. When I could find them, they were like silly expensive. So.
Well, the bentosies.
Yeah.
Northampton Reptile and Fish Centre do them. I know it's a bit of a trek for you, but I don't know if they do mail order. You might want to inquire, but they've got them in there. They're beautiful fish. I'm
on the hunt at the minute for samurai gouramis. They're my next purchase.
Nice, yeah, beautiful fish.
Next on the list.
I've got a soft spot for gouramis, definitely. I have kept licorice gouramis, which are super tricky. I kept them in RO water, one of the only times I've ever kept RO. Chocolate gouramis are beautiful. And I've got pearl gouramis as we speak. Yeah, there's some beauty. And I even like the sparkling gouramis, like they make their little croaking noises. That's so cute.
Yeah. I used to have them in my 125, my little fluval Roma 125. I used to have those, the sparkling gouramis. Yeah. They're really cute. They're cute. They are cute fish.
Okay, let's do some rapid fires because we've got a couple of minutes left.
30 seconds by me.
What's the best epiphyte plant by Jordan Tate?
That's easy. That's easy to answer, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, I really like good old Java fern. Trident fern is probably my go-to. But
hi guys, just like to say thanks for watching. Thanks for joining our stream with myself and George. Sorry we got cut short. We only had an hour really, and George is a busy man, so perhaps we'll do another one. Join our next one. If you like the video, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Comment, share with the world, shout from the rooftops. That's all much appreciated. Cheers guys, see you on the next one.